Hey guys, MoiDawg here, and today we finally got an update on the status of V2 thanks to a squad dev chat stream Tuesday night. Hosted by the community manager Crispy, Buzzhead, Fabian, Daniel, Cole, and Jet talked through the status of V2, discussed some of the main hurdles as to why the update has taken so long, as well as answered questions and gave a bunch of behind the scenes info on some of the new things we should expect to see in squad later this year. But before we dive into that, I do want to remind everyone that I stream a lot of squad on Twitch at twitch.tv/MoiDawg. I squad lead, run vehicles, and play practically every kit in the game. So if you have any questions or just want to watch some squad live, come hang out with us. Right out the gate, the bomb was dropped that V2 has been delayed until early February. 3 weeks memes aside, the reasoning for this delay was a huge host of backend problems ranging from internal bugs to technical issues with actually cooking the build, causing hours and hours of wasted time, day after day. Additionally, we haven't seen any iterative or smaller patches since 1.0, aside from a very small server fix right after release with 1.1, because the settings update that they were trying to push out with V2 broke everything as well. Basically, they wanted to update the game, but they couldn't because they had to revert their internal work back to 1.0 while we were all with 1.1.
Some of these builds were starting to take double the time, 10 to 12 hours of a build time. So that really slows things down. But anyways, we've solved most of that now, and hopefully we've got a way better pipeline now because of it. So kind of had to go through a lot of struggle, but yeah, I'm hoping we'll be able to really pick up the speed on release cadence following 2.0.
Additionally, if you've played the playtest, you'd also know that there were some serious bugs with it, and as a result, map voting and sub-faction voting has also been dropped from V2 release, with hopes to be included in a future patch soon after. As Fabian put it, there was essentially a Final Destination-esque series of events that just wouldn't give the team a break with the build and resulted in months of no content. Now, I'm okay with technical issues being a problem in delays, and ultimately, I don't want a broken game, but my biggest complaint throughout all this was just the lack of communication on what was going on. It's a huge bummer, but I think the vast majority of the community would have been more okay with delays if we were simply given status updates. Especially when another huge announcement that the team just dropped last night was that they hope the Aussies will be added to the game this year. Yes, I said hope. Buzz said that there's a 99% chance the Aussie faction will make it into the game, but DLC integration has caused headaches for the team, and that needs to be sorted out before they keep pumping out new factions. Sorry to all you Aussies out there, but here's hoping we do see y'all before year's end. Now, I'm thinking that this isn't going to affect the Marines, and we'll still see them in the V3 update that should be in March, but maybe pushed back a little bit. So hopefully we'll get the Marines and eventually Pan-Asia, but Aussies, as they are tagged as DLC, still has a big question mark. Moving on from the sad topic of delays, there is still a lot to be excited about in squad. Attack helicopters have been confirmed with a huge asterisk, and Fuzz did make it clear that they want to add them, but they're not a current priority. In order to balance them right, the devs would first like to have a better infantry and ground vehicle meta, and then they would have to develop things like stingers and helicopter countermeasures to make sure nothing is too overpowered. The worst thing that could happen is to implement something like an Apache, and you get the type of vehicle meta that is in Battlefield 4, where helicopters can spin around the map and stay up there for hundreds and hundreds of kills. For more immediate helicopter updates for you pilots out there, Daniel did talk a little bit about the handling improvements that have been slated for V2, but the best way I can put it is it's not a full overhaul. There won't be a full overhaul anytime soon, but the intention with this update is to tweak speed and momentum to make it feel a little bit better when you're in the air. As Daniel put it, they're really working on nailing the feeling of flight for both pilots and passengers in the back of the helicopter. The mechanic they are working on, and maybe a possibility, is gimbal locking, but it is a huge maybe and definitely not in this update. Now, one of the most surprising parts of this chat was the discussion on infantry gunplay, which Fuzz has stated that they're working to try and make all weapons and optics have positives and negatives in order to diversify combat, especially when the current meta is basically using an ACOG, as it is almost always the best option for all ranges. Although this is still in the prototype stage, we were able to take a peek at dual rendered sights and parallax effect optics to create much more nuanced gameplay with scopes. If you're unfamiliar with this, essentially your optic is zoomed in, but not the rest of your screen. Most notably, this can be seen in games like Escape from Tarkov, which really makes you think about what kind of optic you want to bring into your raid. Additionally, we got to take a look at the new prototype SAW, which now has a slight blur to the weapon when firing to make it feel more like an automatic rifle and a lot less like a sniper rifle. Quite a few people in chat were complaining that this looks hideous and is the wrong direction for the game, but having played a lot of Tarkov myself, seeing this genuinely got me excited for the future of Squad, since in Tarkov, every optic has its place. Jet, the main dev working on the project, stated that there's still a lot of performance fixes and backend stuff to sort through, but being able to test these out on the playtest in the future is a very real possibility. The next big content teaser was also the confirmation that the BMP3, BMP2M, and the T90 have all been confirmed to be included in the game. Once again, we weren't given a date, but the biggest concern from the team is the balance issues that these vehicles would cause. I would actually be very surprised if we didn't get these vehicles soon, however, since the T90 is basically an improved T72, and the BMP3 and BMP2M would be a much better matchup to the new British Warrior and its insane autocannon. Another vehicle that was teased was a potential inclusion of Gary, the massive VBID from Project Reality, in the future. Destruction won't be part of the game, but it does sound like the team is working on making something that would be able to kill players through walls, meaning wherever this vehicle does end up, you'll have to get out and get out quick. Fingers crossed we get to see more of Gary in the Insurgency game mode overhaul later in the year, but we still don't have a timeline on that one. Overall, although these are all exciting things in the future, V2 in February will still be the main items mentioned on the roadmap. The layer overhaul, Goose Bay, new weapons, the Insurgent overhaul, including one ambiguous vehicle that they, well, how did they put it?
You've got a shitty technical that I won't mention any more than that, but it's on a couple layers and we call it the shitty technical.
Yeah, that thing, which may look somewhat like a Humvee, but don't hold your breath. There's still a lot of issues with that vehicle apparently, but they did make it seem like it was a slapped together Humvee-ish technical that you were really going to enjoy. I don't know if it's going to look like a Humvee, but I would absolutely love to see something like this in the game. There's also a few quality of life fixes like removing the ability to shoot vehicles in main, new admin commands for server owners, weapon skins for the OISC Season 1 and 2 winners, ammo rack repair times have been fixed to not just take an eternity, and probably a whole host of other items we won't really know until we get the patch notes in February. Now, I know we're not getting V2 just yet, but hey, we've already waited all this time. I can wait a few more weeks to make sure we don't have a broken game. This dev chat was enough to convince me that the team is still working hard at improving the game, although I would strongly suggest to communicate just a bit more so we're not all just wondering what's going on and we're stuck in the dark. But what do you guys think? Were there any burning questions that you don't think they answered? And what are you most excited about in V2 or in the future? Let me know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. But that's it for me. Until next time, peace.
Sorry, I got excited by having this baguette there. Alrighty.
I can't see his cam.
I'll sign off now before you get to see my baguette. Until next time, folks.